What I really wanted to be was a rapper, but I'll settle for author for now. Okay, let's go, girl. I'm gonna read, okay? I am not here because I am fearless. I am here because I'm breathing. Because breath for some of us was never guaranteed. I am doing the bravest thing I know how to do, releasing what was never meant to be carried alone. I stand here for the women, the daughters, the fathers and sons who did not have the chance to breathe deeply and freely. I stand here held by love, by power and joy, carried forward from generations before me. I hope my presence today makes my people proud. My lineage flows from the powerful waters of the Pacific, from the islands gathered in an archipelago, from a community in the shadow of Taal volcano, where the earth keeps its own counsel and reminds us that what is buried is never truly gone. I am the daughter of Pascose, Paquito Macatangay, immigrants from Rosario and Lipa, Batangas, Philippines. I am the granddaughter of Eulalia Galak, Ricardo Macatangay, Agripina Mendoza, and Enrique Gose. Ancestors whose unfinished work continues through me, through my family, and through my 4 children. I invite you to breathe with me. Know your people are among us. Feel them close and bring them closer. Place both hands across your heart and lungs. Feel the rhythm of your own heartbeat and your own breath. And just stay here a moment and let all parts of you fully arrive. You have come here carrying a life, not just your coat, not just your phone, but the invisible architecture of your days. The things you say, the things you don't say. There are stories we speak easily. They move through us like the weather. And there are stories we hold in silence, not because they are small, but because they are heavy. Take a breath. In our family, we were known for warmth, for laughter spilling out of kitchens, for feeding you before you even knew you were hungry. I was raised by women, matriarchs, legends, who believed the universe was alive. I was raised by a mother who trusted cosmology, prayed the rosary, and held both stars and saints in her steady hands. I was raised in my grandmother's house where I was made to feel that joy was never something to be earned, and play was part of being powerful. We believed in energy, in signs, in ancestral protection. Our grandmothers carried balisongs, blades folded small and kept close to the body, in case something or someone crossed the line. Protection was part of our inheritance. We were taught we were strong, matapang, especially the girls, the women. Batangueñans were known for this, for standing their ground with sharp tongues and steady eyes, for not backing down, all with a smile. And we did feel protected. But what I did not know was how to speak freely when harm came from someone inside the circle of care. I did not know how to hold strength in one hand and truth in the other. I did not know how to say, "Why isn't anybody protecting me?" when the hurting came from someone I was taught to trust. I did not know safety could not be assumed, that some kinds of protection required more than just my own strength. When I was 7, I was sexually abused. That is not a sentence I spoke. That is a sentence I did not speak for a very long time. I remember how quiet it was. A room that held its breath while all the other kids were outside laughing. I remember the popcorn ceiling and the thin cracks in the paint becoming something to count, something to follow so I would not have to feel what I did not understand. I remembered learning how to disappear without leaving my body. And somewhere inside of me, a question took root. Why me? Why was I chosen for this? The question did not shout, it did not rage, it simply stayed unanswered and alive. And then almost immediately silence entered as if it had known a way through this. And then shame followed and locked the door behind it. How does a child hold a truth like this in a body so small without it breaking her? She learns to survive alone. She learns a language no one teaches out loud, to leave before anything can begin, to bend before anything can break. If I was quiet, if I was good, if I did not make trouble, perhaps I could outrun shame. I became careful and useful and invisible in the right ways. I cared for the younger ones. I cleaned what could be cleaned. I finished what could be finished before anyone could say it wasn't enough. If I was quiet, if I was good, if I did not make trouble, perhaps I could repair something, fix what needed to be fixed, find a solution to everyone else's problems. Perhaps I could be stronger than the wound, faster than the grief. I learned how to bend towards others until there was no edge of me left. To anticipate, to apologize, to be what was needed before the need was spoken. This is how shame teaches belonging. Not as freedom, but as usefulness. Not as joy, but as agreement. And still somewhere in me, another knowing remained. Small but stubborn, I had seen belonging in its true form. In the sunlight on the patio of Lava Rose Road. In the way we ran, my cousins and I, without asking, without earning, without shrinking. We belonged because we were alive. And we were there. That was the belonging I wanted, not the quiet one, not the careful one, not the kind that did not ask me to disappear in order to stay. But I did not yet know how to return to it. So I was quiet, so I was good, so I did not make trouble. Has anyone ever held a marble in their mouth? That is what it felt like. The secret lodged in my mouth, this marble, smooth and hard, warming behind my teeth. At first it seemed containable, small enough to hide. I held it there. I learned to speak around it, to breathe carefully. I told myself it was temporary, but silence is not a still thing. It grows. By 11, silence and shame traveled everywhere with me, to dance practice in mirrored rooms, to the grocery store, to school, to family parties, and into spaces with other people's ease. For a long time, I mistook endurance for healing. I mistook not breaking for being whole. It is a quiet mistake and a common one to confuse survival with healing. To name the absence of collapse as strength. And then one afternoon when I was 17, in a kitchen that smelled like coffee and rain, I spoke the sentence out loud. The words did not arrive as a storm. It did not tremble. My voice was steady, and it surprised me that it could lift the weight of what I had buried. She did not interrupt. She did not turn away or ask me to prove what had already cost me so much to say. She listened as if listening were a form of shelter, and then she said, I believe you. I am here and I'm not going anywhere. There was no thunder, no great unveiling, and yet something shifted its weight inside of me. As if a door long closed had remembered it was meant to open. And this is how a village begins. Not with grand declarations, but with one person willing to witness what another had carried alone. It took me 45 years to say I had a good childhood, and to admit in the same breath that I do not remember what it is to have been a child without shadow. Shame and silence do not arrive all at once. They gather the way mountains do, grain by grain, year by year, until they appear as something inevitable, something that has always been there. But they are built, and what is built can be named. And what can be named can be witnessed, and what can be witnessed can be healed. Shame survives on the architecture of silence, and silence teaches 3 enduring lies. That no one will believe you. That not breaking is the same as being whole. That carrying pain in secret is evidence of having healed. These lies do not need force, they require only isolation. No witness, no question, no voice to answer back. So when my cousin said, I believe you, it was not a small thing. It was the first fracture in what I had taken to be permanent, the first sign that what lived inside me might yet be released without losing what I was. I had carried shame like a marble in the mouth, smooth, familiar, and impossible to speak around. But slowly I loosened my hold. The marble did not shatter, it did not need to. It rolled free, and in the space it left, there was breath, which is where all true beginnings quietly start. Some truths are not waiting to be forced into light. They are waiting for time and for witness and for the body to remember it is allowed to open. My ancestors do not ask for silence, they ask for courage. Volcanoes are not meant to swallow their fire forever. The body remembers what it carried, it also remembers how to stand without bracing. Healing is not the erasure of the weight, it is the refusal to mistake silence for safety. And safety is not the same as freedom. Safety says I can land, freedom says I can fly. And so I stand here not because I am fearless, I stand here because I'm breathing. And I know somewhere a child or an elder is holding a marble of quiet in their mouth. They have learned how to speak around it, how to swallow carefully, and how to be good. If they find these words years from now or tomorrow, let them reach them gently. Let them sit beside them instead of towering over. Let them say, I believe you. I am here and you're not alone. I am the granddaughter of survivors. Eulalia Galak, Ricardo Macatangay, Agripina Mendoza, Enrique Gose, ancestors whose unfinished work continues through me, through my family, through my 4 children. I stand here held by love, by a power that does not bruise, by a joy that has survived. I am carried by those who came before me, by hands I have never seen but have always felt at my back. I am here to stand in open air as witness, for the women and the girls, for all the young children, for our elders who were taught to bow their heads to burdens that were never theirs, who were made to feel that their wound was their fault, who learned to carry what should have never been placed in their hands. I speak so the lie loosens. I stand still and tall so the ground remembers it has always meant to hold us, to heal us. I've got sons and daughters watching, ancestors breathing at the back of my neck, a low hum that will not be quieted. And I have a voice that will not fold itself into smaller shapes so others remain comfortable. Silence and shame no longer make their home in my body. They do not borrow my breath. They do not pass themselves off as my voice. They will not raise my children. They will not stain the colors of my memory. I am not angry, I'm just done. There is living yet to do. More books waiting for their first page. Roads and new horizons calling my name, a house to tend to. Laundry waiting. Children to raise, young warriors, soft in heart and fierce in spirit. And I will return to the deep waters where I have always belonged, unafraid, without apology for the depth of my knowing. And for you, I pray there will come a day, perhaps it is already here, when the marble loosens. Not because you forced it open or not because you proved your strength, but because a love within you has grown larger than the silence that held it in. Your voice will steady because it is no longer hiding. And when that day arrives, you will realize you were never broken, you were protecting a life. Breath will return the way breath was meant to return, as something that had always belonged to you. You will know it by the taste of it, a little wild, a little burning, like lava meeting the sea, like salt in your lungs.